Welcome back, friends and subscribers, to part 3 of MMA Rankings 205-pound light heavyweight division. And you are not going crazy, I did change my shirt, so in case you were wondering. Alright, so let's get right down to it. Where I last left off was right at number 4. We determined that the number 4 ranking could be, what do we say? Forrest Griffin, I believe. Yeah, Forrest Griffin at number 4, which brings us to number 5. And this is where it starts getting really hard to determine. Number 5. Okay. Who would be just underneath Forrest Griffin? Or Quentin Jackson? Maybe we said Quentin Jackson was number 5. Anyway. Who would be right under there? Possibly Dan Henderson? I believe Dan Henderson beat Vitor Belfort, which was either at 205 or close to it. Could have been middleweight though. And then you have neither one of those guys compete at 205 anymore, so probably not them. So let's see here. Vanderlei Silva no longer competes at 205, so probably not him either. Ricardo Arona, who hasn't competed in a major promotion in quite some time, so probably not him. Which leaves us with Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. Since his debut in the UFC, his defeat of Louis Arthur Kane, which isn't all that significant. His win over Jason Brills only by split decision, and critics were unimpressed by him. I think a lot of people were sort of disappointed in Little Nog. He didn't do too well. How would he do in a fight against Forrest Griffin? That match was actually scheduled to happen, but Jay Brills was the replacement because Forrest got injured. But I believe that they really should go ahead and reschedule that fight. That's a fight I'd like to see. It's important. I would have to give the advantage to. I had to give the advantage to not Nogueira, Griffin. I think Griffin would come out on top of that one. But does Little Nogueira deserve that number 5 spot, that number 5 ranking, or would it belong to somebody more like John Jones, perhaps? Now, John Jones has 10 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss is controversial. He really didn't deserve that. It was only a disqualification. You can learn the story by looking it up. But it was basically just a disqualification, and he was completely annihilating the other guy. He would have gone on to victory pretty soon if it had not have been for that illegal elbow that he did. And it was intentional, but he didn't know it was illegal. So, disqualification there. If it had not have been for that, probably 11 straight wins for John Jones. And all of these wins, devastating. Solid victories. And then, on the other side of the spectrum, we also have Ryan Bader. A very similar record. He's got 11 wins, no losses. Just recently KO'd Keith Jardine. Other than that, he doesn't really have any noteworthy victories on any significant opponents. He hasn't truly challenged himself yet. So it's about time he steps up, and he's going to step in there and fight Little Nogueira, because he's scheduled to fight him for September, I believe. So we're going to find out who's the better man between those two. But I really wish it would come down to a fight between Griffin and, I say match up Griffin with Machida, match up Quentin Jackson with Nogueira, and that would determine a lot more. Who else is in that 205-pound division? Well, first of all, let's get back to John Jones, Ryan Bader. Basically, they both have 11 wins, no losses. John Jones, you could argue that he's beaten some more significant guys. Most notably, Brandon Vera. Okay, but Brandon Vera, not so great in that 205-pound division. The only guy he beat was what? Szynski. He lost to Couture at 205 pounds, and Couture not that long ago lost to Chuck Liddell. So, Brandon Vera is not a top contender in my opinion at 205. Szynski is not. Stephan Bonner, who just beat Szynski, probably is not either. Stephan Bonner has been beaten by John Jones, but it's not all about who's beaten who. Okay, because if you use only that logic, you'll get yourself into a paradox, a conundrum. Let's look at, like, for instance, Renato Sobral, Babalu Sobral. He beat Sokaju, okay? But Sokaju lost to a guy that Sobral beat, okay? So there's lots of little situations like that that can get you confused. So you need to have more factors to decide your rankings rather than just who's beaten who. It's also about your number of victories, the significance of the victory, the performance, current wins. All of that stuff goes into consideration. And if I were developing a ranking system, I would have to factor all those out and balance them and see which is more important. Okay, that's why it's so hard. It's so hard to get these rankings just right. And the rankings will always be up for debate and controversial. But I'm getting off topic here. I want to go back to trying my absolute best to rank at least the top 10 in the light heavyweight division. And we said John Jones 11-0, Ryan Bader 11-0. Well, John Jones 10-1, but technically 11-0. Who do you rank above who? Jones, Bader. Which way do you go? Who deserves more recognition? And then there's Nogueira. Nogueira beat Matty Shuhenko. Jones is scheduled to fight Shuhenko coming up August 1st. I think that will determine a lot. He's expected to win. He's expected to devastate Matt Shuhenko. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. If Vladimir Shuhenko happens to win, wow, that just makes the rankings even more controversial. It will definitely be an upset, but I believe that John Jones will probably win that. And then you look at the Nogueira and Ryan Bader fight, and that will determine also. So number 5 could really be any of those 4 guys. It's so hard to determine. The number 5 pick is really tough for me. Maybe you can give me some help on that one. I'd like to hear your opinion. How do you rank your top 5 guys for the light heavyweights? Tell me if you agree, disagree with this video, with my opinion. I look forward to hearing from you, and give me your comments. See you next time.